Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Nuke Radio, where we are excited to dive into the life of serial killers and their sinister minds. I'm your host Olivia.
And I'm your host Georgia. Today we are talking about one of history's infamous killers, Jack the Ripper.
So, Jack the Ripper was an unidentified serial killer who was active in around 1888 of London, England. This area was home to many vulnerable individuals, including the attacks ascribed to Jack the Ripper, who only really killed women that were working as prostitutes.
Why did Jack the Ripper exclusively kill women?
I don't actually know. I've had that question as well. Like, was it because they were prostitutes or...
I think it might have just been because they were prostitutes and they were vulnerable, and it's not like they had much purpose, obviously, like,
do you think?
considering that they were prostitutes.
You think?
No offense to prostitutes, obviously.
Yeah, no, but also, like, there must have been another reason. I don't think he just targeted prostitutes.
I mean, he could have
just
found
for
them,
the sake of it.
Yeah, he could have found them desirable or something.
Or he, like, was disgusted by them.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, because as well, it was the slums of East England.
Yeah.
That's where, like, prostitutes were found. So there's definitely a reason he went for them.
Yeah.
I just don't know. We don't know why.
Yeah.
And obviously, why not men as well? Because obviously, men were more evil back in that time. Like, they would do anything.
Yeah, but I think it's just because they're more dominant and less, like, hard to control and manipulate.
Yeah, true. But then, maybe it was like a warning to men as well, saying like, this is what you're doing, so then this is what women deserve.
Could be. That does kind of make sense.
Yeah, but the thing is, what he done to the women is actually worse, because what he did was he removed a lot of internal organs from them, and at least 3 of the victims that he killed had, like...
Could have just been a bit of a weirdo.
Yeah, honestly, could have, because there was, like, rumours that he had a they were speculated that he had surgical knowledge, because he was, like, removing their organs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So that could be a reason why. Obviously, who knows? Who knows? He may have just been picking out.
I mean, he does have a sinister mind, so...
True. He could have had some mental illness, a dark backstory, because obviously he was unidentified. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, this is from my research, I found out that Jack the Ripper actually originated in a letter called the Dear Boss letter, and it was claimed to be the murderer himself who wrote it. So, like, this was his outing that he's Jack the Ripper. Obviously, we don't know that. It may be a lie. Someone else could have wrote it, but we don't actually know. But mainly, the thing we need to figure out is, like, why Jack the Ripper? Why was his name Jack the Ripper? Why did he, like, think it was okay to only target women?
I mean, I don't think that the name goes in hand with, like, why his murders.
That's what
women.
I mean, because Jack the Ripper, you'd expect, like, he kills anyone, anywhere. He wasn't really targeting gender. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jack the Ripper, because he just sounds like he'll kill anyone in his path.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I get what you mean.
Like, what would you call yourself if you were only targeting women?
Oh, damn. The women slasher.
See, that makes more sense, because you're going for women, not men.
I guess it depends, like, how you're, like, killing them as well.
I guess.
Maybe he's, like, just slashing them up and then, like, ripping their organs out of their bodies, but considering that he has, like,
surgical knowledge,
then he probably wouldn't be doing that. I don't know, maybe he was just, like, trying to harvest organs for something.
That's crazy, bro.
Well,
I don't think it's hard.
It's not me, it's him.
Maybe he was, like, you know, when, like, he was taking their organs and stuff, he would, like, box them up and send them to people being like, oh, this is what happens.
Like,
because obviously it was 1888. Poverty was a thing.
Yeah, like
well,
a black
it still is a
market
thing.
thing.
Well,
Yeah.
poverty is still a thing, of course, but
what,
like
cannibals.
maybe I don't think.
No,
I don't know.
think so. I was joking.
But yeah, no, because like it's very, very different to like nowadays, like the 1880s, like no electricity and stuff. So like,
I mean, nowadays possibly we could have caught him, but
I don't think we would have, you know.
I'm
but obviously,
not sure.
Because like he just disappeared, didn't he?
If it was in America, then possibly. But
yeah, 100%.
not here.
Most people get caught in America though.
Yeah,
Because like
Americans,
honestly. But we now move on to the actual women he killed. So they were actually called the Conical Five, and they were his main victims, Jack's victims.
What makes them main victims?
Because of the way he killed them. Like, they've gone down to be like one of the most brutalist killings during his reign of terror, because there were 5 in total, and obviously he did a lot. Well, it's not that he didn't do a lot work. He did very brutal things to them. So this is a viewer's discretion advised from here.
Is it like known that he probably did have other victims, considering that we didn't know who he was?
I don't know, actually. Like, there is no actual evidence that he went for men as well. So we will never find out if it was just women as well as men, or he actually did have male victims.
Did he kill like? Did he kill like children or anything?
No, I don't think he ever went for children. I think he only went for just women who were sex workers.
Yeah,
honestly.
It probably is something to do with like, I don't know, maybe he had a little bit of mummy issues.
Well, yeah, because these killings captivated the media. Like,
yeah. I wonder how it all like started for him though, because sometimes it's like I don't know, you ever see like in the movies and stuff, like when people become killers and stuff.
Oh yeah, like their backstory.
Yeah, like they kill animals first, like in their adolescence.
Well, yeah, but isn't it like if you're having dreams about killing animals, then you're pretty much a killer because you're dreaming about hurting people.
I don't think dream, but like if you do it actually.
Well, yeah. Oh yeah, but sometimes as well it can do with like your childhood. Like it doesn't have to be with like killing
just, like,
animals. Like
stuff.
Something happened in your family that could have triggered something to like cause this. But there's actually no backstory on Jack the Ripper. This is why he's an unidentified killer, because nobody actually knows who he was and what he'd done in his life other than be a serial killer.
If you were a killer, would you only exclusively kill men?
No, yeah. Would you?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know,
Well,
probably just like bad people.
Well, yeah, if it really
But
depends
that
if you're
makes me a
doing
bad
it for a
person
cause.
too.
Obviously, I hope I don't become a serial killer.
I
Jesus
mean,
Christ.
I don't, like, obviously doing it for a cause is wrong too, but like...
Well, it's wrong either way.
Yeah.
Because, like, oh yeah, let me just go stab someone, honestly.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would, but if, like, I wanted to be, if I ever, like, thought, yeah, I'm going to become a serial killer, I feel like I would go for men, but I would go for some women, but I feel like I'd be targeted more at men. I don't know. I know that sounds crazy, but you probably get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I do. It does make sense, to be fair.
Would you?
Yeah.
Well, you would.
Maybe.
Oh,
yeah.
that's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, so the actual victims, we actually have the names of the victims. So the victims were Mary Ann Nicholas, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. Now, these lot were very important because, like I said, they were captivated by the media. And so this made them more, like, interested in who Jack the Ripper was. So the first person that they actually found was the body of Mary Ann Nicholas, and she was discovered around 3:40 very early morning on Friday the 31st of August.
What year?
1888. That because his reign I think only lasted for like a year.
Oh.
It's not actually confirmed.
Yeah.
But apparently, she was last seen alive. Like, people saw her alive an hour before her body was discovered by a woman named Emily Holland. Now,
how is he so infamous if, like, just by the way he killed 5 people? Like, if his like reign was only for like a year.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming it was only for a year because it only talks about stuff that happened in the 1888. There's nothing that after 1888.
Yeah, I can't lie. It probably was said that he had more victims that we.
It probably was, but they couldn't find them.
I wonder what bro did with the bodies.
Well, no. I bet he just left them because, like, it was like they said.
Them where?
No, he just killed them there and then just left them there for people to find. It's like he wanted them to be found, but obviously he removed certain organs.
Yeah, but then it's just like he's playing a game.
Yeah, I think that was his thing, you know. He thought it was funny, so we would just leave them, but leave missing parts of them.
That's outrageous.
Because...
Yeah, but surely if you take certain things from people, like their internal organs, and then they just leave their bodies around, surely you're actually just going to leave their body unless you've actually dismembered them instead of taking out.
Well, if you think about it, he
kind
of did dismember their organs because he got rid of some of them.
Yeah, but like define organs, internal or
yeah,
external?
like your liver, your kidney.
Yeah, like that is dismembering in a way, but I mean like actual limbs. Like imagine just like
True. I don't think he ever actually removed.
Yeah, because what's bro gonna do with a leg? I mean, he could have sold it to some sicko, but
he could have. But if
just
you keep
kept
in
it
mind,
for
I don't
himself.
think anyone was gonna really keep a limb.
I mean,
Unless you're that sick and twisted to want a
unless
leg.
you were gonna like eat it or something.
Do you think he was a cannibal? I don't think he was a cannibal.
I don't think he was a cannibal.
I just think he kept certain organs as a reward for like, oh look, I killed a prostitute.
Oh, but out of all the souvenirs that you could have taken, like you could have literally taken a lock of hair or like a tooth or something.
Yeah, but it's still weird. Like you're taking certain parts of their body.
But he's a killer, so it makes more sense if he took something like that rather than an organ. Because what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah,
Unless
true.
bro's
But the
eating
thing
it
is,
or
like,
selling it.
yeah, but the thing is, according to research on Mary Ann, he actually didn't steal an organ like straight away. What he actually did was he slit her throat with said to be 2 very deep cuts that completely severed all tissue down the vertebrae, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The back.
And her area was stabbed twice. Yeah.
Does he not like rape them?
No, actually,
He
and that is
doesn't.
weird.
Oh, it's probably just because they are prostitutes then. Like,
Well,
it's
yeah,
symbolic.
because they're sex workers, so I don't
Yeah.
think he saw a need to, because technically they
Bro
are
was
kind of being raped.
Bro was probably like, oh, STDs, I don't want to contract one of those. Let's leave her, you know what, alone.
Yeah, because as well, her lower part of her abdomen was partially ripped open by like a deep, jagged wound.
She could have had a baby.
She could have, you know. You never know.
A lot of them did have children because they didn't have money.
And that's the only way they could get money.
Yeah.
Yeah, because another thing, several other incisions were inflicted on both sides of her abdomen by the same knife. So each of these wounds had been inflicted in what says to be a downward thrusting manner. So like he thrusted his way there, which I think's insane. So like you're doing all of that. You couldn't just cut her throat and be like, yeah, I'm done. He had to go worse.
How about just not kill her regardless?
Yeah, true. I just think it's crazy that you're doing all of that work.
I know, that's wild, but
Honestly, yeah. You, like, if that's how he wanted to do it, that's how he wanted to do it.
true.
The next victim we have is Annie Chapman, and her murder walked to the yard where her body was discovered beneath the numerals of the poverty sign. And the thing is, as well, when she was killed by him, they didn't discover her until a week later. So she was actually...
Wait, do we know where she was found?
Yeah, it was actually the steps to the doorway of the backyard of 29th Hanbury Street. That's what it says on research.
Wait, I'm sorry, the steps of a doorway.
Yeah. She was just stabbed there. But the thing is, she wasn't found until a week later. So she was actually found on the 8th of September, 1888. And it took them a week to find her. But again, funny thing is, her throat was actually severed by 2 deep cuts again.
Oh.
So there seems to be a bit of a pattern.
Yeah.
That he always goes for the throat first.
What about her abdomen and her...
Yep, her abdomen had been cut entirely open.
Oh.
And it says a section of her flesh from her stomach being placed upon her left shoulder, and another section of her skin and flesh, plus her small intestines, had been removed and placed above her right shoulder.
Yeah, that probably is symbolic for something. I'm not sure what.
Maybe he was a Satanist.
A Satanist?
Yeah.
Possibly, I reckon.
Maybe he felt like he had to punish people.
Yeah, punish the prostitutes for.
Because it's a devil's act.
Yeah.
Prostitution was a devil's act, if you think about it.
Surely he's not a Satanist then. He's a
pacifist?
What's the word?
No.
Like, it's like a purist or something like that.
I
so
don't.
then you're like, you haven't lost your virginity or anything like that.
I don't know. Well, they're
until
prostitutes,
marriage.
so wouldn't you think that they definitely wouldn't be virgins?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's why he's killing them, because they're not
pure. They're not pure.
Yeah.
Oh, I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. Anyway, by research, it says that Chapman's autopsy, revealed that her uterus and a section of her bladder and private area had been removed.
Of her bladder?
Yep. So he clearly, definitely, 100% despised all people that worked as sex workers, women, because he's going for their areas.
Yeah.
For some odd reason. Like, that's crazy. But the thing is, an inquest to Chapman's murder described having seen Chapman standing outside of that street about 5:30 in the morning with a dark-haired man wearing a brown deer stalker hat and a dark overcoat and of a shabby, gentle appearance. And according to this eyewitness, the man had asked Chapman, "Will you?" to which Chapman replied to yes. So what if this was Jack the Ripper? Obviously, we don't know that.
Yeah.
But that's what a witness said.
Did no one follow up?
No.
Or did they not did they not have this information at the time?
No. They found out after she died, obviously.
That's pointless.
Because they found her a week after she was actually killed. Which I think is crazy, because she was found on a doorstep. Wouldn't you instantly see that?
I guess it depends, like, whether you're coming out of your house or who's going by, or whether it's in a secluded area. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's a very hard thing to miss.
Exactly, because it's a full woman just dead on the. But yeah, no, I just don't get like why they just didn't see her and it took them a week to find her.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's outrageous.
That's insane.
A week? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've been saying this the whole time.
Wait, hold on. Sorry,
they took a week to find her body.
But like, obviously we don't have like the like, I don't know, what's it? You know, like, is it a coroner or you know, like the autopsies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, like, we didn't have most of what we have today, like, back then.
Yeah.
So it's probably hard to tell, but, like, she could have been moved.
Maybe.
Because how are we supposed to miss her?
Oh, yeah, true, you know.
I mean, unless she was diced up real good. But
what?
Like, no,
I'm sorry, that's not
I'm
fun.
Sorry,
no. I see
no
what
disrespect to the passed away.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. Obviously, if she was, like killed and dismembered like that, then, and just left there, like, obviously it's going to be extremely hard to miss, unless, like, she was just laying there a certain way and they couldn't tell whether she was just, like, a really bad drunk. But
maybe, you know.
I don't know.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Obviously, we will never know.
I mean, some people mind their business. Some people might, like,
some people
don't,
thought she may have just been laying there asleep.
Yeah.
Honestly, you never know.
Nah, they probably thought she had, like, overdosed on something.
Maybe, because obviously you can't really do much back then when, like, if you die, you die.
Do we know if they were, like nude when they were found?
No, it actually doesn't say that.
Oh.
They just said that. I would assume that she was partially naked, obviously, because her stomach was open.
Yeah.
So I would assume she wasn't really clothed. Maybe some form of clothing, but not much, I don't think. But our next victims, there was actually two at this time. Elizabeth Stride.
Wait, at the same time?
I think so. It was Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. They were both killed on the early morning hours of Sunday the 30th of September. So there's quite a bit of a gap after Chapman. And Stride's body was discovered at 1 a.m. in Duffield's yard in Whitechapel. And the cause of her death was a singular clear-cut incision measuring around 6 inches, according to my research, across her neck, which had severed her left carotid artery and her trachea before terminating beneath her right jaw. So that's a lot. And the absence of any further mutilations of her body had led to uncertainty as whether Stride's murder was committed by the Ripper. So they don't actually think Jack did it. They think someone else killed her because the pattern's different.
Oh, I mean, he could have just wanted a switch up, but like...
I don't know. Serial killers usually have a pattern. They definitely always have some form of, so you know it's them. So like, let's take the Zodiac killer. He would always write a letter saying he was going to kill someone, and that was his pattern. But obviously we're not on about the Zodiac. That was,
yeah.
But that's what I mean.
Maybe we should talk about the Zodiac. That'd be...
You should leave, maybe you should like and subscribe, and maybe we can.
Yes.
We have to see. But the thing is, as well... so they don't actually know. They don't know if it's him. And what was said was that several witnesses later, like on after they found her dead, informed the police that they had seen Stride in the company of a man in or close to Burner Street on the evening of the 29th of September, early hours to the 30th of September. But they all gave different descriptions, because some of them said that her company was a fair. Others said that he was shabby dressed, and then other people said he was well dressed. So different victims. So they all actually don't know, because he was a dark figure, wasn't he?
Maybe there was two.
Do you think?
I mean, we don't know who number one was, so maybe there was two.
Well, yeah, but as well, they don't think it was him as well, so it could have been a completely other killer. Just a random murderer.
How are we having oh my days, how are we having a random, just like an extra random killer at the same time? Maybe they like cross paths and
maybe
Jack was like, oh yeah, I should teach you my ways.
Maybe, actually. I don't know, I don't really think.
I don't think so. Probably not. I was just joking.
No, he could have had some little background people. We do not know.
They're extras.
Yeah, so then here is where we get to Catherine Eddowes. She was discovered in Metier Square, and her body was found there, and it says to be her throat was severed from ear to ear.
Severed from ear to ear?
Yeah.
That's actually outrageous. Wait, her throat?
Yeah, so like they must have... How does that work?
So it would just be like all the way like here?
So basically her jaw was missing. Basically, her jaw was way too open.
Wait, where was it? Like, what, her mouth was severed?
No, her throat.
Her throat? Yeah, it would have been from here to here.
That's crazy. Like, that's
like
insane.
Her neck had just been...
And it says as well from research that it was opened by a long, deep and jagged wound before her intestines had been placed over her right shoulder, with a section of the intestine being completely detached and placed between her body and her left arm. The left kidney and a majority of part of Eddowes' uterus had been removed, and her face had been disfigured, with her nose severed, her cheeks slashed, and cuts measuring 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch respectively vertical incised through each of her eyelids. A triangular incision, the apex of which pointed towards Eddowes' eyes, had also been carved upon each of her cheeks, and a section of the auricle and lobe of her right ear was recovered from her clothing.
A triangular incision?
Yep.
Wait, from where?
It says to be the apex of which pointed towards her eye.
Here?
Yeah, it must have been, yeah.
Bro must have been doing some ritual or something. Maybe he was a Satanist.
Maybe. I don't know. But the police surgeon who conducted the post-mortem upon Edo's body stated his opinion on these mutilations would have taken at least 5 minutes. It would have taken him 5 minutes to do all of that.
That's outrageous. That's
insane that he did all of that to just one girl. But again, he's cutting their throats. The pattern. So I see why they don't think Elizabeth was part of his. Yeah. But again, we don't know. It could have been a whole nother person.
Was there any, like, just to trail off real quick?
Yeah.
Do we know if there were any other serial killers that kind of, like, almost overlapped, maybe?
Oh, I don't know, you know.
Because there could have been.
There could have been.
We didn't know how long he was killing for.
Yeah, we don't.
Like, possibly just a year. But I reckon it's more if he's, like,
probably
that infamous. Like,
probably
is. I wonder, like... So why would you just... Oh, yeah, it must have actually been a game, you know, because why would you leave, your
he was definitely, like, taking the mick out of the police and, like, the government and all of them.
But do you reckon they were, like, trying hard enough to find him?
Clearly not if they couldn't find him. Like, because he's still unidentified. So I don't think they were trying hard.
Yeah, probably. I mean, considering that the victims were prostitutes, it kind of makes sense because, like, the mindset of the police back then, if they were poor, then it doesn't really matter. They were like, oh, like, they're just prostitutes, or they were just prostitutes. Like, it doesn't matter whether they lived or died or not.
True. You don't know. But the thing is, as well, I don't know.
Broke bitch mentality for real.
Yeah. Anyway, so what the police actually said about these two, they called it actually a double event because he killed them both on the same day, just different times.
What's that one Jack Harlow line from that one song?
What?
It's like, 2 girls, it was cool for me.
That's insane. That is insane. That's crazy, Georgia, but fair enough. You do you.
I mean, I wasn't killing them.
Exactly.
Trust.
Exactly.
I wasn't even alive.
So as well, it actually says a section of Edo's bloodied apron was found at the entrance to a tenement in Golson Street at around 2:55. A chalk inscription upon the wall directly above the piece of apron read, said, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing." Yeah.
He could have been a Jew.
He could have been a Jew, you know. I see why.
I'm not blaming Jews, trust, I swear. But, like, he could have been a Jew.
He could have. No, I see where you're coming from. He could have been Jewish.
Yeah.
You never know. Again, he was unidentified. He was, like, secret. But the thing is, the graffiti became known as Golson Street Graffito. Not Golson. No, Golston, sorry. Golston. And the message appeared to imply that a Jew or Jewish in general were responsible for the series of murders.
Yeah.
So it could be that he was actually a Jew.
See, but I should have been the police back then. I would have done a bang-up job.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's unclear. It's still unclear whether he wrote it or not.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever find it now because, like, that would have been disappeared years ago. But we finally move on to our last killer. The mutilated and dismembered body of Mary Jane Kelly, and she was discovered lying on the bed in a single room where she lived at 13 Miller's Court, and she was found around 10:45 a.m. on Friday the 9th of November. So there was a big gap from his kill in September to November, so he clearly disappeared after because they maybe was on his case. Because they could have thought, okay, we might have him, so he might have had to disappear for a bit.
Yeah.
But with Mary Jane, her face had been hacked beyond all recognition, so he must have battered her face to the point that you didn't know it was her.
I wonder how they like identified people back then, like if their face was
True. Because they must have asked people around if they knew that.
I mean, could have, but
like they would have had a picture of it.
Yeah, but I mean, like if her face was like so dismembered, then how did they figure out that it was her, like without asking the public? Like,
I don't know.
Did they have like the fingerprints?
Well, they would have called it a Jane Doe at first because, like, obviously you don't know who they are. So they must have had family. Prostitutes would have families.
True.
Or some form of close relation to them, if you know what I mean. But yeah, but her face was battered, apparently. And her throat, again, was severed down to the spine this time. Her throat was that bad. Like, they cut it that bad. And her abdomen almost emptied of its organs. Her uterus, kidney, and one of her breasts had been placed beneath her head, and the other viscera from her body placed beside her foot, about the bed, and sections of her abdomen and thigh upon a bedside table. So he might have actually cut her up, you know. I don't know.
That's actually outrageous.
I know.
Dismembered her.
Her heart was missing from the crime scene.
Oh.
Her heart was not there. And multiple ashes found within the fireplace suggested Kelly's murder had burned several combustible items to illuminate the single room as he mutilated her body. A recent fire had been severe enough to melt the solid between a kettle and its sprout, which had fallen into the grate of the fireplace. The official police photograph of the body of Mary Jane Kelly, as discovered in 1988. So there was a photo of her. They actually had a photo of her.
Oh.
But that's weird because he literally battered her face. That's what I don't get.
That's outrageous. I wonder if they all looked alike, like had the same hair colour, had the same like skin tone or height.
I don't know actually. I wonder if they did.
I don't know, because some killers, like especially if they're purists,
they go for specifics.
Yeah.
Not all killers don't go for specifics.
No,
they go for specific genders. I think a lot of killers do go for specific genders, yeah. Like John Wayne Gacy, he only went for males. The Zodiac Killer only went for teenagers. So
why is he called the Zodiac Killer?
I don't know, but that's for another episode.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
True.
But the thing is, each of these killers were all at night. They were all killed. They were all murdered at night time, but found early morning. And they were all close to weekends.
All close.
If you heard, so like you've heard, there was a lot Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. If you like, it's a pattern.
Yeah.
So he only did it night times.
Bro had a weekday job.
Huh?
I said bro had a weekday job.
He
couldn't kill on weekdays.
Yeah, because as well, the mutilations became increasingly severe as the series of murders proceeded, except for that one stride, because obviously they don't think it was him.
Yeah.
It may have been different. And Nicole's was not missing any organs. Yeah, he didn't actually nick any organs from her. This is so odd.
I don't know. Maybe, like, I mean, they could have all been him, because what if he, like, found out something about her and then was like, oh, no, I'm not going to take your organs.
Like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but none of them were, like, that well known. They weren't like, considered rich, or, like, they weren't considered important because they were prostitutes. Do you see where I'm coming from? So, like, I don't know. Because, like, all of them had the same type of killing, but then they didn't, because he always went for their throats. Every single time he would go for their throats.
Yeah, but
yeah?
Is the throats just like the one consistent thing?
Yeah, that's the one consistent thing he did. I mean, so there was a bit of a pattern, but then there's not.
Like, two others, like maybe just another serial
killer. Yeah, because like I said, Nicole didn't have any organs missing.
Yeah.
Not Nicole, sorry, Nicholas. And then Chapman's uterus and sections of her bladder were taken.
Yeah, because they usually, like, serial killers usually have more patterns and, like, more similarities whenever they kill.
True, but I don't know. But historically, the belief these 5 canonical murders were committed by the same perpetrator is it's contemporaneous, really, because we can link them together. We can, but then we can't link them together because we only know that they are Jack's 5 victims. And like we keep saying, we don't know if he actually had any more victims, and I don't think we'll never find out because we have no other evidence that...
I'm not trying to like derail your research or anything, but like just saying, surely if we don't know how many people that he has killed, or like the specifics, if they are actually all the people that he has killed, then surely like they're not all just his...
No, I definitely think there's more.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. But there's just no form of report or evidence that he killed more than them.
But like, I don't think that... I mean, considering that some of the pattern is just like so different...
It's different but similar.
Then, yeah, but there's only one similarity.
Yeah, their throats were cut.
Then I think...
Yeah, but if you think about it, there is another similarity. He always went for their stomachs and their uterus. Obviously, it was different what he did with it, but he always went for those 3 places.
That's probably just because they are prostitutes.
Yeah, 100... Well, yeah, because, like, she's
Checking
going
if they
for
had a fetus in there.
Oh, that's crazy.
I mean, I'm just, like, spitballing here.
Oh, no, I get... Wrong, yeah.
But, like, he could have, like, not been a purist and had intercourse with some of these...
Do you think?
Prostitutes.
Well, he was a Jew.
And then
he might have been...
Could have been a bad Jew. You never know. And then...
I don't think it was a bad Jew if he's writing graffiti. I'm, like, warning Jews. Because they kind of...
I mean, that's not necessarily warning Jews. It's just, like, stating that it wasn't them, so that he... Like, so then people can't blame them. And considering the time period... Jews were being blamed for a lot of things back in the day, like even before then, with like Germany and the war and stuff.
Yeah. So we now move on to the actual investigation for Jack the Ripper.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's not much of an investigation for him as they couldn't find him. But so according to the research and stuff, it says that the city police indicates that the alibis of local butchers and slaughters were investigated because they probably think that he had people to like help him with these crimes, but I don't know, honestly. But they were eliminated from the inquiry because there was not enough evidence to put the blame on them, and like people aren't gonna speak when police are coming at you because like, so they couldn't actually target anyone out. But yeah, and then a report for Inspector Swanson to Home Office confirms that 76 butchers and slaughters were visited, and that the inquiry passed all their employers from the previous 6 months. So some contemporaries figures included Queen Victoria thought that the pattern of the murders indicated that the culprit was a butcher or a cattle driver on one of the cattle boats that piled between London and mainland Europe. Whitechapel was closed to the London docks, and usually such boats docked on Thursday to Friday and departed on Saturday or Sunday. The cattle boats were examined, but the dates of the murders did not coincide with a single boat's movements, and the transfer of crewmen between boats was also ruled out. So he was very sneaky. Very sneaky.
That's outrageous.
Because if all of that was ruled out, what else could they find?
Yeah.
But in September of 1888, a group of volunteer citizens in East End London formed Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. So I think it was like a committee to try and figure out who he was.
Yeah.
And what they did is they patrolled the streets looking for any suspicious characters, partly because the disfaction was drawn on cultural like ideas, and like a lot of people had fear he had medical profession.
Yes.
So that's why they had a lot of suspects on like doctors and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, back in the day, our like medical methods were actually outrageous.
Insane.
Like, they are so stupid.
Honestly.
Like, there was like, okay, this theory about the 4 biles, right?
Mhm.
And it was like 4 biles, the 4 humours, right? And it's basically black bile.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what that is in our bodies.
Mhm.
Yellow bile.
Uh-huh.
I think that's like our stomach acid and stuff.
Yeah.
Blood and something else, but I forgot what it was. I think it was like phlegm or something.
Probably phlegm.
And like, if you were sick, then some doctors would like make you like purge yourself or like
Make yourself
bleed,
sick or something.
yeah,
Oh.
to like make you feel better, because like the theory was that they would be like unbalanced, and that was what was making you sick. And that's actually just outrageous. Like,
That's
the methods are so
crazy.
silly. Or like, if you were really spiritual, then if you like went to go see like
Wouldn't they make you do herbs and stuff like that though if you were really spiritual?
No, that's like more like, that's like
Witchcraft.
a herbalist.
Okay, yeah, fair.
But like, if you were like more spiritual and religious, then it would be like, oh, like if you went to the church and like prayed, then you could get better. Or if you went to see the monarch at the time, so obviously like the king or the queen, and if you like touched them or something, then you would like be cured, or something miraculous would happen.
Oh,
Yeah, it's actually outrageous.
that's crazy.
I know.
So I kind of get why they thought
Yeah. Oh,
doctors were like a bit out of it.
there are these people, and I've forgotten what they're called, right?
Yeah.
There's a specific name for them. But like, you would go out, right? You would like strip naked and like beat yourself with like raw chicken.
Oh,
stuff,
well, back
and-
in like this century, like the 1880s.
Oh yeah, like around
Oh
then,
my
or like
God.
a bit before. Like, I don't know, we're talking
Maybe like 1870s.
Nah, I don't even think 18. You know, like I think it was
70s.
probably like 15 or 14. You know,
Wow.
like going on to 16.
So it might have still been a thing in.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because then what came next? It was like, oh, what's her name? It's like something Nightingale or something like that. I forgot. Florence Nightingale. And what's it called? Like, she was making churches better, because like if you go to the church when you're sick, then it would be like, oh, like we'll take care of you, like they'll have beds and stuff, and the monks will take care of you, and like you can pray to get better. But like,
Nah, that's giving very satanic
I know,
vibes.
but, like, the conditions back, like way back in like 14 or 1500s, right?
So Jack could have been into that.
Yeah,
he could have
like wanted to, I don't know, maybe he could have like been trying to help them, but obviously like he got a taste for blood and he was like, oh yeah, let's like chop up some women. But obviously that's probably
so that was
unlikely.
a bit out of context.
Yeah.
But facts, because this could go with Jack the Ripper. But here we go. From according to like more research, the term ripology was described the study and analysis of the Ripper case in effort to determine his identity, and the murders have been inspired numerous works of fiction. Another theory was that Jack despised the rich and the poor and wanted to show how society was unfair by preying on the weak, which was women who were sex workers, as they were easy to target back at the time. See, I believe this theory out of all of the theories that he
Can
said.
you just like circle back a little bit, read that line again?
Which line? That whole bit.
Yeah, just a little.
That the fact that it says that Jack despised the rich and the poor.
Yeah, that doesn't really make much sense if he despises both of them, because if he's preying on women because they are poor and prostitutes,
Yeah, but maybe
then that just means that
he's like warning the rich, like, you're next. Like, because the poor are vulnerable. Maybe he's trying to show that rich people aren't as rich as they think they are, and that they are just as vulnerable as poor people.
Yeah, but he didn't kill. Well, we don't know, like, if he killed any rich people or not. Surely it would be more like
Poor.
advertised and like
but
talked about if he killed rich people, because they'd be found faster. They'd have money. Like,
I don't know,
you know
but
what I'm saying?
I don't know, because the suspects proposed years after the murders.
It's like if someone killed a celebrity.
Yeah. But they, like, the suspects like years after, included virtually anyone remotely connected to the case by documents, as well as many famous names who were considered the police investigation, including Prince Albert Victor, artist Walter Sticker, and author Lewis Carroll. And the suspects' names in contemporaneous police documents included 3 in Sir Melvin McKnighton in 1894. But the evidence against each of them is at best circumstantial, so there's not a lot of evidence against them. But there are numerous varied theories about the actual identity and profession of Jack the Ripper, but authorities are not agreed upon any of them, and a number of named suspects reaches over 100. Despite continued interest in the case, the Ripper's identity does still remain unknown.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So that wraps up our first episode about Jack the Ripper, and we hope you found it as fascinating and chilling as we did. And if you enjoyed the episode, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. But until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the mysteries of history.